This is the way to get top dollar for your items. There's no reason giving away anything too cheap. Hey, it's Don. Today we're going to talk about getting the most for your items, getting top dollar for those items that you have more than one of. If you have quantity of some items that are decent items and will sell fairly well, you don't want to put them all up at the same time. If I have, say, 10 or 15 of something that sells routinely for a decent price, I will never list all of that quantity up at that exact time. When one sells, I will add another one to that listing. When you only list quantity of one on your item, you are creating a sense of scarcity. This is something that's done in the real world, the business world, across the globe on a daily basis. A good example of this is the oil production. When, say, OPEC is producing oil, or even U.S. companies to some extent too, they will only actually produce so many barrels of oil on a daily basis and limit how much is put out there. If you limit the quantity of something, you can regulate the price so you can get more money for your items. If you flood the market with a whole bunch of the exact same thing, oil, good example, the price will plummet and you will not get as much for that item. Or the oil in this example here. The diamond industry is known for doing this for decades and decades and decades. The miners of diamonds and the diamond producers and sellers, the big wholesale ones, limit the amount of diamonds that they put out at any given time. Again, this is all judged by statistics and populations, and all sorts of things are weeded into how processes are done like that in corporate America. You can use the exact same types of processes as those to get the same basic effect. That is why I do not list when I have more than one of these items. I can create a scarcity. Now we're going to hop over and look at some of the items. I'm going to show you a little trick that I do all the time to know instantly which ones have quantity and which ones do not. Again, because they're not shown in eBay's quantity section in the hub. So here's an item right here that I have multiple quantities of and that I have only listed one at a time. One is only up at any given time. Now, I started this listing on July 27th of this year, just over a month ago at this point. Since then, one has sold every single week pretty much since the item was listed in the top dollar range. Now, if I listed this very same listing and just put up that I have 20 of this item here, not many people are going to jump on it at the price that I have on it. This is a rare button. Any other time, you would only see one of these types of items up pretty much at almost any given time. So it's not like a super common item, of course. This works with common items, though, if there aren't a lot of them up on eBay at any given time, or Amazon, or wherever you're selling the items at. The same principle works everywhere. I use this same principle across any of the platforms that we sell on. One other thing this does is create a sense of urgency to buy your item. From a buyer's point of view, it looks like you had 6 of them. There's 5 that have sold and 1 that's currently active. It's the last one. It's even in red, warning you that there won't be another one available very, very soon if you don't hop up on the option. So this is a good point on why I do the zero quantity and only list one at a time. Now, how do I know that there's more than one on this listing still, even to this day right now? Just by looking at it, at the very end of my title up here, you will see an X. That X is meaning that I have quantity of this item. I also have hidden that in the actual description so I can actually always tell how many of any given item that I have as well. You can do that any way you want. Just put in some number with some reference and something like that, and that'll give you the same basic principle as what I'm doing. It works for us constantly. Constantly. And worst case scenario, if somebody reaches out and says, it looks like you got more, do you have more? I would be interested in buying all of them at said price. That's fine. I can do that as well. I've just changed the quantity at any given time I want if somebody contacts me. I'll sell them whatever the case may be if they want 5, and then I'll still have some left, and then I can just change the quantity back down later on. It's worth the few extra seconds it takes just to change a quantity, a number, one single digit number or a couple digits, to do it this way. Now here's another example. This one was listed on July 24th. Now it's a button, but the item itself doesn't matter. I do this for a ton of different items. I've got stacks and stacks of movie posters, postcards, identical ones and stuff like that too. I don't do this for every single item though. It depends on the value of the item. If the value of the item is over, say, 25 bucks, chances are this is what I'm going to do to that specific listing. So again, right here you can see July 24th list time. 4 have sold. There's only 1 left. Last one. That last one in red is really what I'm looking for by doing this. Once 1 has sold and you have another one listed, it's going to always tell them, last one, you better hurry up, you better hurry up. That, again, is why it is in red. Good option there. So this is something that I use across the board. Again, there's the X in the title. Everything in this numbering scheme I have here for storage is also meaning something very specific to this listing. So I keep numbers and things where I can easily see what's going on with that listing. Another example here on this one. So I have multiples of this one. It did sell the first one for $57.50. I listed another one, and boom, it does say again, last one up. So that is, again, what I am looking for when I'm doing this. It works for us pretty much all of the time. It does create that sense of urgency. Again, you want a scarcity level to be shown in your listing if you have multiples of something like this, for example. Again, it could be anything. I run across multiples of comic books, postcards, even coins constantly. Board games, I've had multiples of the same board games. Video games, the same thing. I've had multiples of the same video game. Action figures, I've had multiples of those. There are so many different things that this comes up with. Now, if it's a shirt and you've got 100 shirts or something that may sell for 15 or 20 bucks, it's not going to be worth your time, chances are. A shirt also has more interest, is overall something that someone would use as a utilitarian item, so there'll be more people looking for it. So if you have more up, you can do just fine as well. It just depends on the item specifically. I stick to this, though, in anything that's vintage or collectible that has potential to get decent money for. Now here we are in my store. We're in the hub on the listings tab. This is the listings tab for my hub. You can see my quantities and all that kind of stuff up here. Now the quantity shows 0 on many of these, but these are technically active items with 0 quantity. So if I have another one of any of these items up here, all I have to do is edit the quantity of the item itself. Now eBay has also added a great feature for people who do the 0 quantity and keep adding quantity to the same listings. They have added the ability without me having to go into the listing to edit the quantity now. So I can instantly just add one more up. I don't have to revise, I don't have to do anything else. It's easy as can be to do this process with it. You just have to keep track of your quantity somewhere where you're not going to mess up. When you pull it, make sure you're aware of how many more are left at any given time. If I'm away from my business or, I had to run somewhere out of town, I can instantly tell with what I have information-wise hidden in my listings as to the quantity I have up also. So that's a big plus for what I do. And you can see I got quite a few. All my listings do that at the end of the day. Now, some listings I do have multiples listed up in the actual listing itself, and you can see quite a few in here. Now, these are lesser value items, things that aren't quite as scarce, that there may be some interest in, someone buying a bunch of the exact same one. That's how I look at it when I'm doing this. So you've just got to pay attention to how you do this process. If it's a $10 item and I've got 29 of them or 30 of them, I'm just going to throw it up. No big deal on that. You're not going to create a scarcity on something that there's still a ton of them around and that other people have the very same listing with a whole bunch of quantity as well. So the bottom line, once again, is to create a scarcity, a perceived scarcity in your items. It's a promotional tactic. It's an advertising ploy. It's a draw. That last one is the key. And even in the search results, sometimes you'll see the words last one to tell you while you're scanning and looking at the gallery view images as you're sliding down to tell you, hey, there's one left. Quite a few have sold. In some cases like that, when you only have 3 left and say you started with 25, it's going to show that 22 of those sold and there's only a couple left. So that's a huge quantity that's sold with only a few left. In some cases, when you get down to the bottom line there, when you only have a few left, you can actually bump up the price a little bit. Because again, the last one, that scarcity aspect of it, will create the sense of urgency, will create the need to pay a little more for it to get that last item there. Nothing wrong with that. Again, prices that I put on are based on scarcity, what they routinely sell for, as well as their actual value versus what people give things away for. So all of these aspects play into there so you can get the tip-top most money out of your items. Getting top dollar for my items is what I want to do. I would rather sell less at a higher amount than sell them really cheap and have to ship out tons of items with less profit. I can still make more than folks selling a quantity of them cheaper by selling them and holding on and getting a higher price for them. I'm doing less work because I have to do less in packing and shipping than the other folks, but I'm getting more money for that. So my ROI, my return on my investment, is higher. So overall, I'm making more money, I'm getting a better return on my items, I'm creating that scarcity, I'm using eBay's own system and label of last one to help promote that item as something they need to buy. This is something that works for us. I've done this exact thing for a very long time because, again, it works. We've got 600 or 700 items in our store right now that we are doing this similar thing for as well. So I wouldn't do it if it didn't work. I wouldn't do it for so many items if it didn't work. It's a win-win for us doing it this way. It gets us that top dollar mark. Well, there we have it. Hopefully that gave you some ideas, some thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends.
I'm the Micro Machine Man, and this is the Seriously Small Micro Machine Service City, the perfect place to take your micros for serious servicing. This place has it all. Movable garage doors, liftable lifts, simply amazing service space, two-level parking, and a totally terrific turning turntable in the super showroom. The service here is simply stupendous. Micro Machine Service City from Loupe. The Micro Machine Man here, and I'm coming clean about the all-new Micro Machine Car Wash City. It's the best way to clean your micro machine. Drive into the vacuum area, then move your micros through the real rotating rollers. Now this car's really clean, team. Take your perfectly polished micros up the little elevator to the tippy top where you find a rotating stack shop.
Micro Machines Car Wash City, Service City sets, and vehicles sold separately. Some assembly required from Galoob.
Remember, if it doesn't say Micro Machine, it's not the real thing.